So it's almost been 4 months since Astral Radiance was first released, and you'd be forgiven for forgetting about it. There's already been a lot going on. Obviously we had Lost Origins as the following set, we had Pokemon Go in between, and Charizard UPC kind of took a lot of attention too, and just generally there's been a lot going on, and I think a lot of people have been forgetting about Astral Radiance as a set, and I can kind of understand why. I'm just going to go through some reasons why I think that it is, for me, just like a better battle styles, like a 2022 battle styles. And I'm going to give a few reasons as to why that is. And because of that, I would not recommend any investment or any kind of expectations, at least, from Astral Radiance in the coming future. So to get straight into it, here's the set list. So obviously the left side is all the full arts and the right is the secret rares. And first things first, before I get slaughtered, which is all the time apparently, I really do like Astral Radiance as a set. I've mentioned before that I'm a big Dialga fan. I like Palkia too, particularly this Altar in the set here, which you can see. Other cool Pokemon in the set, of course, like Garchomp, Luxray is cool, Typhlosion, Machamp, there's a lot going on. Beedrill too, the Altar's pretty cool there as well. And on the right hand side, just generally, I'm not the biggest fan of Rainbow Rares. I think most people kind of share that sentiment. But even if you ignore that, there are I would say two kind of prominent trainers in this set as well, being like the Irida and the Roxanne. The Gold Seeker is okay. Generally, it's a good set, and you're probably thinking, why the hell have you just compared it to Battle Styles? Because when you compare the actual set list, there's cards to Battle Styles, there's probably little to no comparison there. But I want to kind of dig deeper than just, oh, this has cool cards and that has fewer cool cards, I guess. And I just want to look at a few data points to maybe kind of back up my point. Sorry, my camera's covering a little bit of the screen, but as you can see here, I've got the Brilliant Stars and the Astral Radiance pull rate side by side. And I mentioned this in my kind of previous Why You Shouldn't Invest video, where I spoke a little bit about how Battle Styles has like what I would say are good / fair pull rates. If you just look at the numbers there, like the chance of you getting the Altar Charizard, like 1 in 490 packs, and we can only compare to what we've seen earlier, and it seems like a kind of ballpark, maybe slightly high pull rate. Whereas if you look at Astral Radiance, and I went into more detail in the previous video, you can see that the pull rates are significantly tougher. Particularly, you look at the Altars, in particular, amongst them is the Machamp, and that was the reason why I kind of looked at the pricing for the Machamp and understood why it was so as high as it is, and not dropping as quickly as the other two cards. So as I mentioned that previously, and then again the gold cards, bit tough again when you're looking at 8,000 packs compared to you'll see in a minute with the Battle Styles data. So they would have pulled a minimal amounts of cards, and there's some amount of variance. 8,000 is certainly like a good picture, a good idea. But again, with any data set, you keep adding to it, and you're gonna get more precise estimates and values and probabilities of pulls. So yeah, generally that's my first and main probably with Astral Radiance is the pulls. And we've seen it before with sets that are difficult to pull, where they have low pull rates, and Battle Styles for me stands out in the Sword and Shield era more so than any other set. There are a few others as well, for example, like the Burning Shadows in Sun and Moon. It was kind of historically difficult to, that Charizard was crazy rare to pull, and then also had such bad printing as well, so it often led to issues there. And I think there's a general sentiment when you deal with sets with low pull rates that it's just not fun to open. And I feel like I don't necessarily have any data to prove, but people are just less willing to open it, less likely to open it. You see this and you see Brilliant Stars, and you're like, oh, maybe I want to enjoy opening opening a few packs, you're probably going to go for battle styles, not just because some of the cards there might interest you more, like the Charizard, for example, or the Arceus cards, but also you're more likely to pull one of those cards. And generally, if you're hoping to pull specific cards from a set, you're a little bit crazy. You've seen some of the videos, like PokeRev, for example, has spent many hours. I think it was 11 and a half, 12 hours just opening boxes of Astral Radiance just to get anywhere near completing the set. But there are plenty of people out there, myself included, that just enjoy opening packs here and there, knowing full well it's a risk and you can probably do better things with your money. But, just enjoying the fact that you might potentially get something good, or you just get something maybe mediocre, but you're happy with it. I have a bunch of cards that I've opened from Modern Product that I haven't sold, even though I sell a ridiculous number of cards on my store, just because I pulled it myself and I actually want to keep it. And so you're not going to get that same amount of enjoyment from a set like Astral Radiance compared to Brilliant Stars, just because you're more likely to pull something better in Brilliant Stars, even if it's only a full art trainer, even if it's not the secret rare you wanted. The satisfaction you get of just pulling anything is just so much nicer than basically pulling shit, which is what you're more likely to get, or just, you're not expected to get cards in that kind of higher rarity tier. Obviously, you open booster boxes, you're guaranteed something in some sense because they are of course mapped. But the fact that the rates are low and the number of secret rares, for example, in Astral Radiance is so high, the likelihood that you just get a shitty gold rare instead of maybe something more interesting than that can be a problem for some people. Now, as I mentioned, Astral Radiance has been out for roughly 4 months, and you can see the kind of the price graph here on the left. So I tried to mark when the set was initially released, because obviously you have the fluctuation before, but as I mentioned previously, again, just something to ignore. It's a lot of fluff really in terms of the data, but you can see pretty much from release the price has been trending down. It looks like it's kind of flattened out, $100, maybe $98, $97. And then you compare that to a set like Brilliant Stars. I could have also just put Evolving Skies here, but I thought Brilliant Stars, being just the set previous that was released just before Astral Radiance, was probably a better comparison. You can see that, from the onset, the set was obviously released, I believe, in 25th of February. Sorry. So just after that kind of first peak, the price rises steadily from that point on, and of course it's not been that much longer than Astral Radiance, but you can clearly see that there is some trend taking it forward. And Brilliant Stars is a good set. It's a popular set. It's a fun set to open, and and obviously that's kind of reflected in the fact that the price just has continued to rise since it's been out. And then you look at battle styles, and I obviously couldn't get this graph from TCG Player to kind of go back any further in time because it was released almost 2 years ago. But I kind of looked at average prices 3 months after the release, and yeah, $100. Astral Radiance 3-4 months after release, $100. Brilliant Stars of course started higher, but there was some trend upwards, right? I think that's kind of what I'm trying to get across, that there was some trend going upwards. I'm just going to quickly move this, move the camera here, just so you can see this, and now I look like some kind of hobbit in the corner, but anyway, so as I've mentioned, I think pull rates for me is kind of the main focus, and the main reason why I think Astral Radiance is a set that should be avoided. And you can see here the numbers roughly do compare to what we see in battle styles. So at the time, I recall when battle styles came out, and then obviously it was followed by Chilling Reign, but as soon as Chilling Reign came out, people were quick to move on from battle styles because there was a lot of complaining about the really low pull rates, and people were really struggling to get any rare cards, any pull chase cards from the set. And that's reflected quite across the two sets. The numbers there are quite similar. As you can see, I guess the main focus would be for the alt arts, and the alt arts in Battlestyle include basically the different Urshifu, so the Urshifu V's and the Urshifu V Maxes, and then obviously the best alt art was of course the Sleepy Tyranitar. and the chance of you getting one of those is like roughly 1 in 125. And this is taken from 20,000 packs as well, which just means that the numbers are going to be a bit more precise. And then compare that to Astral Radiance, where it's like 1 in 135. It could be slightly lower, it could be slightly higher if we had 20,000 rather than 8,000, because it's obviously the same as the previous data set. And then generally you look through the other cards you can pull. Gold res harder for Astral Radiance, full arts around about the same, and rainbow res slightly easier. So there's slight discrepancy of between the two sets, but you can kind of see that relative to other sets which are more popular, which we've seen trending upwards, the cards are just generally harder to pull. And this is what makes me really want to put Astral Radiance in the same set as the or in the same tier as Battle Styles. But I don't want to discredit it and like disrespect it to that extent, because it is a much better set. Obviously I've not really touched that much upon the trainer gallery as well, and even with the trainer gallery, they're kind of looked at separately, but there's a lot of good pulls in the trainer gallery. So even though you're not necessarily getting the pull you want from the main set, there's plenty of stuff to get from the training gallery as well. And it's another one of those, like, okay, now at least I'm not getting a reverse holo like I would get in Battle Styles. So I'm not going to completely disrespect the set and say it's as bad as Battle Styles, but I get the kind of impression that it is going to be the 2022 Battle Styles, and that's majorly or mainly focused around the insanely difficult pull rates. Outside of that, I think it's a fantastic set. I really enjoyed the set. I have boxes of it. I ordered a lot of ETBs. Should have probably bought booster boxes instead, but De La Vie. And I just think I'm kind of sat on those now, thinking, maybe do I keep them as they are, or do I kind of get rid of them at small loss and then put that money elsewhere? So let me know what you think, if you are sat on any Astral Radiance product. At the same time, I've kind of gone through this to say, I wouldn't necessarily put my money into Astral Radiance as a set, but you never know, things could change if you kind of look back at the previous graph. As I mentioned, it's kind of flatlining around about now, but that could take an uptick certainly. One reason I don't see that happening is similar to Battle Styles, although I don't have exact numbers to say so. The print, they were both kind of printed to a ridiculous level. Battle Styles, again, we're almost 2 years on and the set's just not moved because there's just so much product. People are still sat on that product, and I think it's going to be the case in a year's time when we look back at Astral Radiance and say, okay, it's a really good set, really good cards, no one wants to open it, and everyone sat on it because no one wants to buy it, and then no one's buying it, no one's opening it and removing those products from the market, so that's just not driving the cost, driving the price up and up and up like we're getting with Evolving Skies. Because as soon as it comes out, someone's picking it up, someone's buying it, someone's opening it. Just not seeing the same thing with Astral Radiance. But let me know what you think anyway in the comment section, and hopefully I'll catch you on the next one.